Hello, Julie here. Today I want to talk about, I guess, one of the most important topics when it comes to studying whatever it is people study, motivation. So I will talk about what worked for me, what kept me going all those 12 weeks with my Korean challenge. So at the end of my Korean challenge, I studied for 84 days, which is 12 weeks. I studied every single day. The smallest amount of time that I studied during the day was, I think, about 10 minutes, but I did study, so it counts. Yeah, overall, I studied for about 100 hours in 3 months. And yeah, so today I want to talk about this special somehow topic, which is motivation, what kept me going, how did I manage to stay on track and overdo my plan. So before starting with Korean, I analyzed my whole process that was ahead of me. Yeah, so I knew that my Korean challenge is going to be 12 weeks, and I needed to understand what I am willing to do, what I want to do, and my ideal plan of like what I imagine I would do in those 12 weeks. I also thought about positive and negative outcomes of this challenge. I'll explain what I mean. So I think it's like I did this whole analyzing thing for the first time ever because obviously I've never tried anything like this because I am quite a stubborn person, and if I decide to do something, I will do it no matter what. So I kind of didn't, like, if you can say so, believe in motivation as a concept. And it's like, it's always a little bit hard for me to understand people who are like, oh, I'm struggling with my motivation. And it's like, for me, it was always that simple. If you want to do something, you do it. It's like, that's it. But trying new approach, trying to understand where I'm coming from, really helped me out to understand myself better, and really, I wouldn't say boosted my motivation, but made it easier to finish the challenge. So first of all, I started, and what I really advise anyone who wants to study a language, or anything else for that matter, is to know your whys and what for. Why are you doing this? Do you really want to learn a language, or do you think you need to learn a language because you didn't study well at school or college? Like, do you want it for yourself, or for your friend, mother's friend, or for your neighbors, or maybe grandmother? Do you want it because you like actually enjoy it, or because you want to prove something to someone? Those are two different things, and taking your time and actually thinking, putting a little bit thought into this whole idea. Why do you want to study something? We're not talking here about higher education and anything for that matter. We're talking about learning something on your own, additional courses, like, and so on. It's like, for some people it's really easy because I already know that I like it, I enjoy it, so I want to do more of it, or things that are similar to my hobbies and interests. Those people are just, I think, lucky. I mean, they know what they want, they know what they like, and it's quite easy for them. Sometimes we struggle a little bit to understand why we do what we do, and trying to analyze your life and your approach to learning something might help. So I didn't do that with Korean. I didn't know my whys and what fors. I just chose Korean randomly, I'd say, because, well, why not? I mean, why not? It was quite stupid, I'd say. I got lucky because during this challenge I fell in love with Korean language, and I like the culture and country and people and the content that I found on YouTube regarding Korea. It's like, I actually enjoyed it, and I still do. So yeah, because if you find yourself in the middle of something, studying process, and realize like, oh, I actually hate it, and I don't do it for myself, I do it for others, and actually I don't want to do it and I don't need to do it, it's gonna be a little bit maybe sad that you wasted all your time when you could have just spent 2-3 minutes with yourself and analyze beforehand. So that's what I would honestly suggest. Like, number 1, know your whys and what fors. Number 2, studying plan. Here I had it, I think, quite easy. I had 2 types of plans. I have the ideal plan and I had realistic plan. So regarding realistic plan, what I wanted to do, I wanted to study at least 40 hours in those 12 weeks. So it's like maybe 2-3 hours a week. That's manageable and easy. So I thought, there is no way I can screw this up. I can definitely do this. So this was a realistic plan for me, to 100%, like 1000% achievable plan, and which is also important because if you follow up your realistic plan that you will definitely fulfill, you're not going to be disappointed in yourself and the work you did. Yeah, so I think regarding self-esteem, it's also quite important to set realistic plans. So number 1 on my realistic plan was realistic amount of time that I expected myself to do, which was 40 hours. Then I thought about other aspects of language that I wanted to work on. There was vocabulary, so I set the mini-lex. Mini-lex is the minimal amount of words that you need to learn, understand and recognize in order to speak on a basic level, more or less. So I set my mini-lex for about 400 words. I also wanted to work on reading and writing, but since I was complete zero at Korean, I decided that I'm going to practice writing as in rewriting, just some sentences and texts, even though I didn't understand a single word, but I needed to practice writing somehow, so that worked perfectly fine. And as for reading, children books, though some of them were quite hard, I'd say, but they're small and in amount of pages and stories. So that was quite pleasant in a way that, oh, I read 6 books. Yeah, they're like 2 pages, 3 pages long, but that's not what matters. It matters that I read 6 books. So I thought that would be also doable. And of course, obviously, I picked some study materials like Sejong 1 and some other YouTube channels that I mentioned in the previous video that I wanted to at least look at. Yeah, so that was my realistic plan. And then I decided, okay, what if everything goes very well? What if I am a very good student and Korean is super easy and I'm gonna progress really fast? So I wanted to come up with an ideal plan. So my ideal plan was different in only one thing: the amount of hours that I wanted to study Korean. So in my ideal plan, I thought it would be perfect to study for at least 80 hours in those 12 weeks. At the end of the challenge, I studied for 100 hours, so I overdid it a little bit, 20 hours more. And yeah, so everything else on my ideal plan stayed exactly the same as in my realistic plan regarding vocabulary and reading books and writing texts. It's just the amount of hours spent on studying was different. So I set my plan, and then I needed some kind of measurement to check whether, like, what am I doing with this plan, how am I going, and so on and so forth. So I created a table on okay. I got distracted. So what I needed to do, I needed to somehow check how my progress is going forward or backwards, or I'm not doing anything, or what is going on. So I created a timetable on my Google Drive in Excel pages. So nothing complicated. I just created a table with dates and months and days of the week, where I just I put my time, the amount of time I spent studying. So it's like the first week of the challenge, Monday. I also counted my time in minutes, which was really awesome, and I really enjoyed it. That's so much better than counting hours. It just gives you so much more satisfaction. For some reason, when you look like, oh, I studied for 500 minutes this week, it's like, it's way better than writing 2 or 3 hours of studying. Yeah, it's like 500. That's impressive. So yeah, I counted time in minutes. So Monday, first week of the challenge, Monday 62 minutes, Tuesday 120 minutes, Wednesday 84 minutes, Thursday 35 minutes, and so on and so on and so forth. Of course, since I wanted to study every single day for at least an hour, I tried to push to an even hour. So it's like, yeah, I studied for 50 minutes and I'm already tired, I'm exhausted. I still tried sometimes, not always, it's not always a good idea, but sometimes I did push myself those 10 more minutes to close up to an even hour. I do not suggest it, it's not a very good idea. It's quite a toxic way of behavior, especially when it comes to studying, but I did it anyway. Sometimes I felt worse after doing that. Sometimes I felt better, like, ooh, I did well, I feel proud of myself. But it all depends on the person. So sometimes it worked for me, sometimes it didn't, but overall I do not regret pushing myself a little bit harder. So yeah, and I tracked my time for every single day. I tracked weeks, first week, second, third, fourth, and so on and so forth. I also compared the time on the week during the weeks for the weeks. Like for week 1 I studied 500 minutes, for week 2 I studied for 700 minutes, then for week 3 I studied for 400, then fourth week 700, and so on and so forth. And I could see the dynamics in my studying, which also helped me maybe analyze my studying process, how I study, and that also helped me in understanding myself and how my brain works, and how and when I'm effective, more effective or less effective. I didn't record when I studied during the day, but mostly I studied in the evening. Worked quite well personally for me, and I tried some of the days to study in the morning. Okay, I genuinely hated it because I was too distracted by other things that I had to do during the day and my plans, and like, oh, how much time do I have left? Like, I need to go, I need to do stuff and things and work and blah blah blah. So we in the evenings it was better for me to study because I was relaxed, I was done with my day, and so on and so forth. Like, I could actually get deeper into studying process and then get distracted by other mundane things. So regarding trekking, that was not the only thing that I did. What I actually really enjoyed and looked forward to were little stars. What I mean by that is that for each week that I completed my time schedule, like at least 6 hours a week, I gave myself a star. So it's like, basically it's the stupidest and silliest thing that you can ever do. But what I did not realize is that how much motivation gave me those stars. I got a star and I felt so good about it, even though I gave it to myself. It's like, it didn't mean a single thing. It wouldn't change anything, but seeing this little star next to the week of studying, just like, I did well, I got myself a star. And it's like, let's keep going. So that really helped me. It can be anything. You can put stickers on your notebook, like as a little reward for a week of studying, but it gives you so much joy. I was so shocked how much joy it actually brought me. Like, just a sticker, just a little star. It was like, it was awesome. It was awesome. Okay, and the last point on my list that I want to mention is punishment and reward. When you set something, like when you set a goal, especially with studying, it helps with motivation. It helped me, not so much as stars or seeing the progress, but it kept me going just a little bit. I mean, just a tad, but still it worked. So before starting my challenge, I decided a reward and punishment. So it was punishment and reward were for my realistic, and this is important, they were for my realistic plan. And we remember that realistic plan is something that is absolutely impossible not to do. Like, thousands, millions, billions of percent, you will do this realistic plan. You will achieve it. So basically it's like about the reward, but still, if something goes wrong, there is gonna be a punishment. So in my case, for a reward, I chose a very delicious piece of cake that I really, really wanted for a very long time, but I was too busy, too lazy to get it. So I decided, okay, I might just as well make it as a reward for the end of my challenge. Of course I got it. I already ate it like, what, 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago when the challenge was over. And as for my punishment, I am so much obsessed with chocolate and all other things. All sweet possible things that you can ever imagine in the world. Like, I want everything and I love everything, and it's just like... So, as a punishment, I chose 2 weeks without sweets. It was kind of harsh. I'd say maybe a little bit too much harsh, but I decided, like, what the hell? It might keep me, my punishment kept me going, I think, more than my reward. I didn't want to stay without sweets in my life for 2 weeks. And obviously I was not going to cheat. Like, even I decided that if at some point, for some reason, I wouldn't be able to achieve my realistic plan, I would punish myself, because like that was the deal. I'm gonna keep my word. So my punishment, I think, was more motivating than my reward, because my reward was just one piece of cake, even though I really wanted it. But punishment was a little bit harsh. Yeah, so that was my story, what I did regarding motivation for this 12-week challenge. And the same thing I'm going to do for my challenge number 2 with Korean in summer, a couple of weeks before my challenge starts. But I do still study Korean, not every day, not so intensely, but I still study. I'm progressing, like I'm doing well, and I really do think about taking a language test in autumn. Not promising though, things happen, I might change my mind, but for right now I think I want to do it. So yeah, that's pretty much everything I wanted to tell you about my motivation, how I managed to stay motivated throughout this 12-week challenge, which was very intense. What exactly kept me going. Yeah, I hope that was really helpful, and that maybe you might find something useful, something that you can do and use for yourself, and that will help you somehow. Yeah, that's it for today. Thank you for watching, thank you for being here with me, and I'll see you next week. Bye.